Hello! It is Monday, the 1st of July. And over here in England, it was supposed to be cooler today. No, wait, it's Tuesday. Or is it Wednesday? What day of the week is it? It's Tuesday. Yeah, I'm still struggling with that. That's a concept that is foreign to me. Um, so no, it's not Monday, it just feels like a Monday. Um, It's definitely felt like a Monday because I logged into work and loads of stuff didn't work, so it feels very much like a Monday to me. It feels like someone, logged in and did random stuff over the weekend and broke it. But it is Satan's armpit here, and funnily enough, there are an awful lot about it on social media because you get lots of people going, oh, Brits complaining, it's only 28 degrees, and they moan about their humidity and we've got worse. And then you get all the people who've actually been here going, actually, unless you've been there, it's just somehow worse. And it is. I mean, I have been in temperatures of 40 something degrees and not felt this hot, right? Um, Part of our problem is that it's not common here. Now, we moan about it every year because we get a handful of days where this is the case. So we spend the colder days moaning because it's cold and wanting it to be hotter. The moment it's hot, we regret our actions and want to take it back. We don't want it to be cold, we just don't want it to be this hot. And so it is kind of frustrating. So yeah, we do distinctly have heat. So I'm getting a bit of a heat headache, which doesn't help. Ooh, ow, ooh. Stabbing pain in the eyeball. Ah, excuse me on that one. Oh, actually, that really does hurt. It's just the nerve having a bit of a fight. But I've not had one of these before. Ooh, not in my eye. I've had like random twingy owie bits, but not in my face. Ooh, that's painful. Don't know what's up with it either. Yeah, it's almost like a wasp sting level of kind of ouch. It's kind of getting. Amy, what are you doing? know what she's doing. Madam, what are you doing? Hmm? It's not looking... Caught it on the pin. There we go. It's not looking too bad, you know. Actually, I quite like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. What I can do is finish this a little earlier instead of going all the way down here. Don't need it to go all the way down there really. I can bring this up to start it. Now I need to kind of mark this somehow. There it is, Sharpie. So you are line with that. So let's just check again. You come out there to the top, so you come out there, and the top will be into, is it that one? Or is it? Ah, interesting. They're not the same. I assumed, but they're not the same. What do I mean by they're not the same? If you look, this piece here, this middle line, which is here, lines up with the third, with the second point of this. If I go to the second point here, this doesn't look like it's in the middle. I'm going to mark this one as a big bold one so I can start it a bit sooner because, well, I don't overly need practice in ground stitch after all. Being a bit longer. 4, 5, 6. you over a bit because keep trying to join it. So let's move you over. my internet fart? Got a feeling it did. Why does my internet always fart? Yep, internet's farted. Thanks, internet. How does it know? It's been fine all day. And now my internet's farted. Mind you, it could have died in the heat. Or someone's crashed into the box. Yep. There we go. So yeah, I don't know what that was. But it's probably heat related, to be honest. It's massive. eyes aren't as hot as me, is all I can say to that. It is. Definitely the day of breathing sweat out. And I've just realised you can't see what I'm doing. There you go. That's what happens when you lot don't say anything. Right. I've been sitting here, happily lacing away for half an hour, and all you could see was my face. Well, there you go. That's stupid of me. There you go. It's too hot, I think. Especially as it's not like it's not like I can really train it to beep at me either. There we go. Push you a bit more over there. You. Just going to watch something on a stream that I had in the background. No, that's the wrong way around. Stupid woman. I need you to go this way. One, two. Ooh. Huh? One. Ooh, something. Oh, I know. You just need to go through here, don't you? You need to go under and over. Yes. Hello, hello. Are you melting like me? Please tell me you're melting, Nutcat. It's too hot. bastard. It's kind of overcast here, and it has been all afternoon, but I swear it's hotter than yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just get away for a minute. Seriously, I swear it's hotter than it was yesterday. No, I didn't get me a drink. Today is not the day to be short of liquids. I shall be right back. Back again. Got a cool drink. That's a good thing. Oh. It's gone down the wrong hole. Alexa, what's the temperature on the downstairs thermostat?
The downstairs thermostat temperature is 28.5 degrees.
So it's as hot as it was yesterday. I'm not imagining it. getting a bit keen here, actually. Need to finish this one first. Silly girl. Right. Where's my nail file gone? I had it earlier. What did I do with it? You can't have rough nails when you do this. It doesn't work. Um, Now I follow you, I think it kind of does, but not properly. So, for example, Twitch properly pings you and goes, this person has gone live, assuming you turned on notifications, right? I have seen Knockout went live, but I've only seen it once, so I don't think it does it well. Yeah, there are people who where it doesn't, which is why I set up the Discord thing, so that people could, you know, have an option too for when Twitch can't be asked. But yeah, Facebook sort of does, but sort of doesn't. And as you say, it's quite difficult when, you know, if it does it sometimes, there's no reason why it can't always do it. But clearly it doesn't, you know. Okay. Hello, 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 hello. See what Nautica sent me. That could be crochet. Hang on. Let's have a look. How's it going then, Mickey Gets Me? One thing I will remind you is that an awful lot of, let's call them brain controlling medications, do have a build up and a grow out of. So, chances are you won't see anything too immediately, but if you do, please take good care of yourself. I know when I was on antidepressants, it very specifically said, thou must not go cold turkey. So I did, and I got over everything. It was quite amusing. And when my doctor kind of put me back on them later because of some other stuff, gave me different ones, so I was very reactive to them. They meant that in sunshine I basically was instantly allergic, and I got fed up with it and phoned them up, and they went, yeah, you can stop. Well, what about the cool down? Well, you went cold turkey last time, you'll be fine. So, I think the answer is normally going cold turkey on mine was clearly a bad idea, but as I'd already done it, and because the problem had gone away at that point, you know, it was the pills. We can put you back on the old ones, or can we not? We can not. Okay, good. How do I go about that? Well, you just stop taking them then. Yay! I haven't been on them since. I mean, there's been moments I probably should have, but fair enough. Okay. Because we want to know you're all right, you know. It is important. Why is that showing a thing? That's fine. Okay. That's right. Keeping an eye on a couple of windows. As you all know, I mean, you know of at least, my work bestie sends me lots of messages. Now, work today for me was a bit of a crab because I logged in this morning, as you do on a work day. Bear in mind, it is Tuesday, even though I thought it was Monday when I started the stream. And I logged into the help desk system for which I must perform tickets. Everything was fine. Kicked up one of our own server's web pages, and it went no. Okay, it's a bit odd. Went to a different one. It said no. All of them said no. All the ones that came from our servers, no. Or all the ones I know that come from our servers said no. And I was kind of like, I asked around and everyone kind of went, nah, I'm not getting that. No, it's a you thing. So I rebooted. Well, once I rebooted, I still didn't have web pages, but now Teams didn't work. And and that is always the kind of balance point, isn't it? Is that if whatever you're needing to take, for whatever reason it may be, is doing something that, say, you know, I know quite a few people who can't take codeine as a painkiller. Now, it's a very good painkiller, and if you really need painkillers, hallelujah. But if it makes you really constipated and hallucinate, like the people I know, maybe not so much. No, I don't get those. I'm quite lucky. I can munch on codeine and I'm fine. But I do feel sorry for my friends, because should they be in chronic pain, you know, they're kind of stuck. I mean, the ex-husband can't have anything in the ibuprofen kind of range. So no NSAIDs for him. So as a result, all he can really have is paracetamol. Well, and so, you know, there are a lot of things where you're sitting there going, I get it, and I get that these things are bad, but sometimes, you know, if the pain is enough, you'd rather be hallucinating and on the throne for a while, because, well, the pain's enough that you need something. And as you've said, generally they were bringing a lot of good, while dizziness is of considerable inconvenience. I'm not going to pretend that it's not really minor. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. It is quite debilitating. It is not something you want to rush to do in a hurry. But at the same time, if it's doing you enough good, it is the price to pay, right? Everything has equal and opposite reactions and all that kind of bullshit, right? We all know that everything has a price. And, well, it might be worth the price. But as you say, 4 months on, it's not funny. I mean, I had the same problem with those antidepressants. I spent 3 months, she told, 3 months basically with ants crawling under my skin the whole time. Morning, noon, and night. And she said to me, oh, it'll wear off. And in fairness, yes it did. But only when I wasn't outside. I had to stay indoors. Well, if I can't even walk to my car, which is all it would take, and I would then spend the next 24 hours scratching my skin off, which I did for about 6 months, so I very much understand. Because they seem to be doing me the world of good. But after a while, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take the fact that I would walk to my car, which could be a distance of 3 or 4 meters, in even slightly shaded sunshine, and I would spend 24 hours scratching. If I wasn't covered up like the Michelin Man, I would spend... It was mainly my arms, I need to point out. My face didn't seem to suffer from it, thankfully. But my arms, it just... Itching is a form of torture. It drove me nuts. And I was already nuts. I didn't need to be more nuts. So, yeah. I absolutely relate to the... But is it worth it? Because, you know, the good it's doing I want... But the price, maybe not. So I do have a lot of sympathy for you there, my friend. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lord, though, it's hot. But yeah, nautical, that could be kind of bobbin lace related. You could certainly achieve that with bobbins. It's kind of got spiders and everything. You can do stuff like that with crochet, but you're probably spot on that that actually is a form of bobbin lace. See if it says. Not wishing to feel like you're being ignored. French knotting. Possibly a bit more like macrame then. But you could probably do the same with bobbins and not quite suffer the same pain there. Um, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I do suffer from is that, well, as I've said to you, if you think, take Bucks Point, which is British, but basically it's identical to the French Chantilly. But each one claims to be different, but it's frigging not. You know, it's the kind of, there's a square. I want to get to the diagonal corner. One goes this way, one goes that way. It's exactly the same results because, you know, as I've explained to my co-worker, in one of them you go cross, twist, twist, twist. And in Chantilly you go twist, 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 cross. So yes, the cross appears at the other end, but wait for this. In Chantilly, you can do cross, twist, 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 and it's called closed. So it's the same shit then. It is literally the same shit. So yeah, it is that kind of, just because they call it a different name doesn't make it any different. I could call you Paul. It doesn't mean that you're not you. It's just a name. And I think, but also, as you and I well know from our discussions over making of knots, it can have a number of names and it can result in the same knot and be done 20 different ways. Each one will claim that theirs is different, but it's not. It's the same stuff. So yeah, it does complicate matters, but I think it's probably slightly a variation of both, a bit of both. Now, I can't pronounce it, but there's the Japanese, and it's a bit like kimono, but it's got more H's and K's and letters in it. Kimono, or whatever it is. That's similar to lace making, only instead of bobbins, they have weighted, round, knobbly ones that they put round sticks, and instead of crossing a pair of bobbins, you move the thread to a different post. It's the same kind of shit. Maybe you don't put pins in the Japanese one, but effectively it's not that different in principle working of, I have these, I am going to swap them. You know, it is kind of no more complicated. Take care. But yeah, as I was saying, my work bestie, although you don't know my work bestie, obviously, my work bestie who sends me lots of messages, and I were having chats today because, you know, work was being work, and they were talking to me about how the post wasn't coming. He's not a rat, he's a quite good guy, actually. I'm sure he'll forgive me for not naming the exact relationship because I've already forgotten. It's not important. But a young, you'd have to argue young woman. She's a teenager. But someone he's fairly close to. I think it's a niece, but someone he's close to has been given a few months to live today. So, and you've got to feel for them. Being told at such an early age you've got months to go is not what you need in life. It really isn't. And you know, like everything, there was a lot of hope only a couple of weeks ago. And there was operations, there was, you know, stuff, but it's not been successful. And to be honest, you know, there is a lot of that in that. Should the operation go well, life will be good. Should the operation not go well, or the operation doesn't have the desired effect, there can be two different outcomes after all. It can mean, I mean, you know, while you see it a lot in kind of medical dramas, it still doesn't change the fact that it's true of the, we need to operate on your leg now or you might lose it. That is often a valid thing. Sometimes they can operate on it, and if blood flow is restored and, you know, all starts looking good, you'll get to keep it. If it doesn't, however, well, you might not, you know. And that is kind of how it's gone for this poor girl, is that she's had the operation, she's done all the right things, and, well, she's not going to make it. How many do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need... And I've got 5. Sweet. So... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Saw you two roll off. Come on. Back on the bus. I said back on the bus. Thank you. I think I need to put you on a stick for a minute and get this side ready. Ah, stretch. Sitting on my feet again and making them go to sleep. So how are we doing? We've got 1, 2, 3 we need to do. bit. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's move you right. You want to stick. So. So we need to do one of you at the top. This down the side. One, two. Right, so I've got 3 for that side, and do I have 3? Yes, I do, but I can make this tidier. Like this. That's not right, idiot. Needs to go. So you're out the way, you're out the way. So, we need to do one of these. Now, you need to look. You are in line with that, so you get there. That's not right. I need you. So, yay! Debating how much more of this I do. I think the answer is I need to kind of at least level it off. Dear God. I will say, much as it feels like it, it's not that hot here. Allegedly, in this room earlier, as I asked on the stream, it was 28.5 degrees. But I've also been in kind of the 40s, and that felt cooler than this. But of course, it was at least dry heat, so yeah. So I am struggling somewhat. Really? Wow. My thing says it says... What? The fuck is that? I've opened the windowed weather app and it's popped up with a E-tree underscore, well, E-tree underscore name your forest. Congratulations, you've reached level 4. Fuck off. It is 22 degrees outside allegedly, but it's more like 28 indoors, so maybe I need to go around and start opening some windows. But of course, then all the bugs come in. So you can't win here, you really can't. It says it will be 15 later, but that's like 6 o'clock in the morning for tomorrow, technically. So, tomorrow is allegedly going to be cooler. And to that, I say halle feckin' luya. It also says tomorrow night will be even colder at 10 degrees. Wonder if I can sleep outside. Right now, sleeping in 10 degrees sounds like heaven. I know it's too cold for me and I'll be miserable. But I want it. Right now I want it. Right now I want it bad. How wrong is that? Because if it was 10 degrees, I'd be moaning it's cold. And here I am going, oh, it's too hot. Currently, allegedly, and bear in mind the weather station is not far from me, it says it's 22 degrees outside, bullshit, with 75% humidity. It's the humidity that kills us, guys. Well, it's my birthday real soon, and I remember the year I moved up here, down here, whatever, across here, it's more accurate. After my birthday, so we are talking late July, hailstones. That's an idea. But yeah, I remember the year we moved up here, hailstones like this landing out the sky, and it's like, in July. Whereas right now, we're all shriveling up like, you know, dried prunes. Where am I? I'm over here. Okay. I'm just going to your Earth Null Skull thing to see if I can find how miserable. About there. What? Don't see how you turn on. I can't see how to turn on the miserable factor. Let's see. No, that's not it. Okay. Downloading out. That's just got like wavy lines on it. Oh, hang on. I've got the thing. I mean, let me share my screen. Hang on. I've got to be careful doing this because, you know, you only need to see so much of my life. Hang on. I've got a screen around here somewhere. Hang on. Desktop display. There you go. Go to that. Click. Browser. There you go. So, I've got MI selected. Misery index. Great. And I've got these little lines. But it doesn't tell... And I can click around. But it doesn't seem to tell me... misery index. 16.8. Fuck off. It does not feel like 16.8. On a pig's arse, this is 16.8. Especially when you consider... says 22, humidity 73. And in here it's 28 point and a half, so... That doesn't seem to make any difference. It has no idea. I don't know whose misery it's judging it on, but they're wrong. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, all I can tell them is they're wrong. Very, very wrong. I mean, I'm potentially a little bit more there-ish, maybe. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. That says 19.8. But that's not really a misery index. That's a centigrade. Yeah, that's kind of... That's more like it, but I'm definitely not over there. I'm definitely somewhere kind of round about here-ish. Now, I assure you, I am not... It is not 15.3 degrees here, dudes. Oh, second span bopper of the day who's come to die. Let me go deal with... Oh, no, it's Nautical. Oh, it's because you said threesome, apparently, Nautical. I'll let you off with that one. There you go. Oh, it is too hot, my dude. Yeah, I know what it's like. Okay, let's... do one of those. Make a hole, because we've moved it up. So I need to make a hole kind of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That fly needs to go jump off a bridge. Ever since work's been over, he's been bugging me, literally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't feel right. One, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay. And it is. Oops. No! The knots come off, you bugger. Humph to you two, Mr. Paws. You alright? Hmm? They're struggling at night a lot. But they also don't like it if you're trying to cool them down either, so can't do much about that. Probably. France for you. I don't know. I've not really heard. It's a good point. I've not really heard how that kind of turned out. It's one of those weird things, is that it's one of the biggest things I hate about the news, right? Is that, oh my god, this has happened. Okay, I'm interested now. You know, oh, I wonder what happens. That'll be it. That's the last you hear of it. And you're like, well, what happened to that? What was the outcome of that? Cheese-eating surrender monkeys comes to mind. Not my turn of phrase, but I know many who would voice that opinion. I don't really care. The French, whatever. As long as they do me no harm, I'll leave them alone. It is one of those things, I think, is that it is difficult. As I say, I to be honest, I am not a huge. Well, you see, this is kind of the problem. experiences that you've had have left you a bitter taste in your mouth, you likely have a poor opinion. Whether it's food, music, plays, films, people. Now, I can tell you now that my dad was not too hot on Americans. My dad was not hot on Americans. He really, frankly, could think of better people to talk to. Now, while stereotypes are often not true, well, the problem with all stereotypes is there is a reason they became the stereotype. And over here, Americans are known for being very loud, I'm talking on the phone kind of moments, right? And generally are very full of their expectations and what should be done for them. Now, it depends where and what they're doing as to whether I would agree with them. Because maybe they're right. But maybe they're wrong. I don't know. So I'll judge it when I get there. However, you know, I've not particularly had a problem with the French. I've not particularly had a problem with the Americans. No, I don't. Well, I had a bad experience with an American, but he was set up for that. So, to be fair, he never apologised, of course, but he was set up for that. But it is one of those things, is that, I mean, for example, many English hate the Welsh, many Welsh hate the English. And a lot of that is unnecessary. They're not neither side is necessarily made of bad people, but there are bad people in both camps. And it's the same, got another runaway. It is the same with, it's like the problems people have with religion. Oh, no, they're not all. Whatever you just said, they're not all. Many, maybe. A few, probably, definitely. But not all. And this is, of course, why we are generally, you know, people get accused of being racist, sexist, whateverist, right? A lot of that is because they have decided that such and such is true because so and so is, and maybe they're wrong. Now, the problem is, maybe they're also right. You know, you might think that Joe Bloggs is an arse. And you've come to this conclusion because, well, frankly, he's an arse. The problem is, if Joe Bloggs is of a different ethnic persuasion, if Joe Bloggs is a different religion, Joe Bloggs is a different gender, well, they can cite any one of those as being the reason you came to that conclusion, overlooking the fact that it's just because they're an arse. And in more recent years, we've had a really good example. All the problems that everybody had with ISIS brought a lot of Muslim people into the forefront of mind's eye. But most of them aren't like that. In fact, to a large extent, being a Muslim is very similar to being a Christian, because they follow the very early parts of our Bible. Bear in mind, I was brought up Christian, so I say are in a slightly loose sense at this point. But they were brought up with the early parts of the Bible. They split off, however, with Isaac and Ishmael. We follow one, they follow the other. But it's kind of the same shit. It's a bit like being Jewish and being Christian, in the sense that the Jewish believe in the Old Testament, Christians add the New Testament, the Jewish people don't agree with that. But fundamentally, they all agree on the first bit. It's not that far apart, you know. And And this is why it's always so disappointing when you get, you know, religious things, colour, race, whatever. Sure, way back in the history and dawns of time, well, not quite obviously, but when the British formed, perhaps we were pasty white. But people of multiple nations came here. Maybe not by choice. I mean, you know, let's overlook that bit for a minute. But as a result, we've mingled. So, yes, there are still people who, you know, turn the lights off, you can't find them. And there are still people who can lie in the snow and you won't find them either. Thinking of the Irish. But we do struggle as a whole, as society, in that if people are different, it is always kind of commonly struggled that if you are different to someone else, it is a problem. But that we're all different. We're just more or less different. There are some with more similarities than differences, and there are some with very obvious big differences. But it doesn't make them any different a person. It doesn't make them more stupid. It doesn't make them more ignorant. It doesn't make them worth any less. Their actions will do that for themselves. And so, should the little green aliens come, just because they're little green aliens, well, first of all, we need to not call them goblins when they get here. But you do have this kind of... Can you imagine an alien race who has transcended many of these pettinesses, comes to visit, lands on our Earth, and sees what the hell we do with it? Do you really think they're going to get to know us? Really? I said this the other day. If you think of, on the alien front, isn't it funny how whenever they show pictures, they can show like satellite photographs, all but showing the, you know, shoe size on the bottom of your foot. But every picture of an alien, a UFO, or Nessie, the Yeti or anything, could be a dog, a cat, a bird, a tree, and you couldn't tell. It's this blurry ass piece of crap. But we can take a photo of the bottom of your shoe from space. Well, how come we haven't found these beloved Yeti and Loch Ness monsters? And I do wish the world... I will point out today I had to do some training course. And I won't say the training course was interesting, because I'm not going to stretch it quite to the word interesting. But it was one I'd not done before. And it kind of briefly perked my interest, except for the fact that it actually wasn't. It was a training course, of course it wasn't. And it was one of the touchy-feely training courses, so again, automatically kind of, what is the least I need to do to get through the course? You will be glad to know I passed with 100% and I didn't have to try very hard. But it was about unconscious prejudices and how we all make them. The shop owner who sees a timid looking kid looking around really nervously coming in the shop instantly will assume they're a shoplifter. Maybe they've just been bullied and they're really scared. Now, one of the examples they gave boiled my pee, and I have made comment. And I do this a few times with these training courses because some of the examples they give are really bad. And I will explain. One of the things that they gave an example of was that so-and-so's in a meeting and keeps talking over a male, is in this meeting, and keeps talking over some woman, and, you know, But there was no, it is because she's female, or it's because she's younger, or because of anything. It was just, what should they do? Well, the obvious answer is you have a private word. You don't report him to HR because it's not really a report thing unless you've been through other actions. You certainly don't report him to some ombudsman and, you know, go full Monty on it. But what did frustrate me was that there was no consideration as to whether Mark has a personal reason. So, if you have ADHD, if you have autism, you frequently end up speaking over people. So what if it's none of the above? What if it is the way he's made? Because one of the options was ignore it. Well, that could be the right answer. Because it is something about him that he is not able to change. And he is probably very conscious that he's done it afterwards, but at the time, isn't aware of it. However, that is between Mark and the woman. His name was Mark, by the way. Now, obviously, it's all made up and stuff, but it is something that's cropped up before. I did a sexual harassment training many years ago. And they were, you know, it was things like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other. And one of the things was basically along the lines of, you can't hug a co-worker. Well, I can if they've asked for it. I can if they're very willing and had every choice, and I know they meant it. Can if, for example, I've known them 20 fucking years, and I know them far better than you. You know, there is... You know, while they may be a work colleague, if they're having the shittest day of their life, I want to be there for them. I mean, to give you an idea, one of my co-workers, not the one who pings me all the time, but one of my co-workers, my car broke down. And I said, you know, I was a bit nervous to go out somewhere. And they actually said to me, if you break down, anytime, 24/7... you will ring me, and I will come and get you. Yeah. You know, it was not a threatening as in, I'll come and do you over. It was, I'm not having you out in the middle of nowhere in a broken down car on your own. I will come. The fact that they went to bed an hour and a half ago, by the by, if I'd gone out and my car broke down and I phoned them, they would not complain, because they would worry for me if they found out I'd spent 2 hours or whatever sitting in a car by the road in the middle of bloody nowhere in the dark, right? Admittedly, it's not dark right now, but you know what I mean, right? And I'm the same. I mean, I would be offended if a co-worker felt they couldn't, they couldn't ask me for something. My neighbours, we have that kind of relationship. It's like, oh, is there any chance? Of course you can. Don't even ask. Stop being so wet. Just you know, if you want to park on my driveway, park on my freaking driveway. You know, I've only got one car. You know, I don't have visitors, so park on my driveway. There should be, you know, there are things that you can and can't do to people you do not know. But, for example, and one of the things you used to hear in our office a lot was, now that was substitute for the C word, okay? It was not me doing the knocking either, but that was quite common. But the manager hadn't worked out what it meant, so he didn't notice, so that was perfectly acceptable. I remember saying to him one day, you do know why they knock on the desk, right? And he was like, no, actually. And I went, calling each other. And he went, really? And I went, yeah. They've been doing it for years. It's normal. You know, we've got two people, we had at the time, two people who'd been in that office since they were 16 years old. One of them retired. You know, these people, These are people who have known each other for a really long time. And while you would not do that to someone you didn't know, someone you know, that's a bit different. There's kind of, you've got a history, you know. Now, it's again, there's also the barrier of, if you are the manager, some of that play has to go because, well, you're now the manager. People may not feel they can respond in kind, even though you might not mind. So now you have to be careful what you say, because in the wrong time to the wrong person, you'll say something and they'll be convinced that their manager, not you, their person that they've known for Christ knows how long, are mad at them. And it is a very careful event, but it came up that, you know, I mean, the guy who said that he'd come out if my car broke down, there's a guy who also works there, who they have known each other for 50 years. You do not know someone for 50 years. They know each other's children, they were at the weddings, the grandchildren, you know, they're as good as married. I mean, they're both male and have wives and families of their own, but work-wise, they are as one. They're a single unit, right? Because they even work together, literally as a team of two. And it just kind of, you can't say to these people what they can and can't do. Especially when you're 25 in HR and they're, you know, 60. They've worked far longer than you've been alive. It, you know, it is very difficult, but you have to make a blanket statement, but blanket statements have exceptions. Now, in the sexual harassment training, the examples were fairly clear cut. And it'd be things like, you know, Sally has gone on is on a client sales pitch with her boss, and when they get the rooms, that Sally discovers there's an adjoining door. And while she's just come out the bath, she's just about getting ready for bed, and the manager opens the door and comes in. What should she do? Well, my answer would be slap him, but and you know, he sits down and says, well, we've got to do some more work on this, and then tries to get a bit fresh. What can she do? Well, if she's not comfortable saying anything about it, wait till he's gone for a pee or something, wander down to the front desk and tell them. They'll sort him out for you. They'll move him. They'll fake that there's a problem with the room and move him. Yeah. But I also appreciate that not everyone has the inner strength to do that. And again, that's one of these problems, is that on paper, oh, well, you just... In practice, no, you don't. It's hard sometimes, I think, to be everything. It's hard to be non-judgmental, but stand up for the right things at the same time, because, you know, if you see someone talking over someone in a meeting, are they talking over because they think the person's a dumbass? Is the person a dumbass? Do they deserve it? Is that actually, you know, kind of the shut up, you're talking shit kind of moment? Or is this person being a bully? Or is this person being sexist along the grounds of you can't possibly know that because you're a woman, or you can't know that because of your colour, you can't possibly be any good at this because and how well do they know that person? Because maybe they know that person can't do that, and is talking out of turn and making promises maybe that they can't keep. So they're trying to help them. Maybe they've got autism, maybe they've got ADHD. How do you know? How much do you know? Because if you butt in and kind of go, oh, I don't think you should be speaking like that to so-and-so, well, now you've made it a problem, because now you've butted in and you've accused them of something that isn't even true. You know, that's going to go down well. You take them aside and go, hey, I really don't like how you spoke to so-and-so. Well, now they're going to be offended. So they're going to be really defensive about it. You know, whether they were or were not, almost will go out the window. You know, how dare you accuse me of this? You know, who do you think you are? Going to HR, he's bullying me because he said this. The fact that it might be 100% true, how do you prove it? So yeah, I don't know. It's always been, it's something I find very difficult to put in my mind, because there doesn't seem to be a properly right answer for anything. And my autistic little brain cells find that hard, because it sits there going, so you've told me that it's not acceptable for people to do this. But if so-and-so does, you know, so one of the categories today was about slaves, right? Now, to a large extent, most of the world would like to think that slavery is mostly a thing of the past. But of course, we all know deep down that there are still pockets of very prevalent slavery. But there's also not quite slavery, but basically it is, in the sense of it is not they own the human beings in that kind of sense of slavery, that they may come and go, you know, they can go home at the end of the day, but at the same time, they don't get paid a fair wage, they don't get treated reasonably, they don't have any rights, anything they bring up is dismissed. You know, so is that really any different? And I could have sworn it was a line from Legally Blonde, but I googled it the other day and apparently it wasn't. But basically there was a line of, oh, I don't have slaves. Who do you think made your clothes, honey? Is the response. And that's very true, because an awful lot of modern fashion clothes are made in poor areas where they're not paid fairly for the work that they do, and as a result, it is a form of slavery. But what made me laugh was the quiz. Which of these is not a form of slavery? And obviously one of them is being made to work unpaid overtime. Well, it kind of is, on the simple grounds that you've already concluded that slavery is effectively work drawn by you know, fear of repercussions, and so here is the definition, because I took a screen grab. Forced labour. Forced labour is any work or service which people are forced to do against their will under threat of punishment. Almost every slavery practice contains some element of the forced labour. It's most common found in industry with lots of workers with little regulations. Forced labour is the most common element of modern slavery and the most extreme form of people exploitation. Although many associated forced labour with physical violence, in fact, the ways used are more insidious and ingrained in cultures. Well, if you're made to work overtime with no payment, and you know full well, because it's kind of the implied, well, if you ever want, you know, if you want to keep your job, you've got to do it. Well, it's the same thing, is it not? So, although the answer they were looking for was no, it is not unpaid overtime, actually, according to your definition, yeah, it is. So yeah, it's always the way. So yeah, um, one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's put you over here. Excuse me. One, two, three, four, five. Ooh, a couple of sneaky pins back here. Let's have a look. Oh, look, I managed to fuck up a bit there, didn't I? Yeah. Oh. Actually, that weirdy square I did looks pretty good. Okay, so it's been a while. It's too hot. I need to go and like sit in a cold bath or something. Definitely need a cool shower before I go to bed to try and calm me down a bit. Rory, stop licking that, whatever it is. It's worse than having children. But thank you for joining me today. We will complete that tomorrow. I don't know whether we will get to start another strip or we will do a bit more square. Bit hesitant on the square, but I do like these. In fact, most of these look quite viable options. I know you can't actually see them because they're all off the back here, but to be honest, none of them look bad. None of them actually look bad. And I actually really like... you may recall that in the middle I had like one that was made of the little ovals. They're called honeycombs, but they're ovals. And it felt like it was a fudge to make it work. I really like how that turned out. And then you may recall I went to do like this kind of set of cloth stitch bits. Well, it was just kind of one of those bits where I couldn't make it work and I just wasn't in the mood. So I did a random thing over the top. Well, the random thing looks pretty good too. So we shall decide, we shall have a look when, because we should finish tomorrow, because we've only got a little bit, and we'll tie all the knots off and chop it off, and we can look and see how much of my thread I used to give me some idea. But I would say there's certainly another strip out of it, so 1.5 meters, which is what I put on, I think, although I have forgotten, to be fair. We've got quite a bit of that left, or it looks like we've got quite a bit of it left, so certainly another strip out of it. It'll be interesting. I think the easiest way to do it is to go as far as we can and see the first bobbin to run out, because obviously not all of them have equal usage, so it will be interesting to see how far down the 3 strips we get. If we get down all 3, we know that we only really need 2 meters or something to complete 4 strips. Now that's admittedly to make a meter long strip, but that seems quite good. But then to a large extent, you've got to remember they come down at 45 degrees. So in that terms, for the most part, it's not that much longer. It's not like we're doing lots of cross stitch, which is the back and forth stuff. And if we were doing the whole of this as cross stitch, then the ones going back and forth would use a horrendous amount. And in fact, you can calculate, if I did this as pure cloth stitch, the length required to do full cloth stitch for the duration would be the number of threads across, so the number of these across, times the length of the strip, plus obviously some tie off kind of bit at the end. But realistically, because you would go for an even, in weaving, when you're going for an even level, it's exactly how you do it. You know that the amount of weft that you need is equal to the amount of warp you need, because they're doing the same journey. So it's just that these are all chopped into bits, going this way, and the weft is continuous going that way. So with that in mind, I don't know quite why I'm 1 pair out. I assume I borrowed a pair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That says not. But that looks to be from the middle. Did I miscount somewhere back here? I think I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I did. So let's fix that then. You need to go in there like this. You go over here. You need to come over here like this and push you up here so you fit in there. Push you up, and now you fit in there. And now everybody's back where they started. And so need to take a photo. See, I need to clean my lens before I take that photo. It's all sweated up, I think. That's better. Doesn't look foggy now. There we go. There we go. Do that. Right. So, I thank you for joining me. It has been a pleasure talking with you. I hope that everyone has a good rest of the day and that you do not melt wherever you are. But I am really pleased with my strip. Yeah, I actually really like both of those. Yes, yes. We have goodness. It is a good thing. I shall be back. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? No, tomorrow's Wednesday. I shall be back tomorrow. And I will. Yeah, take care, Naughty Cat. Be good, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.